Do I regret voting for Donald Trump? 100,000 times yes. The mass deportation that is happening, I mean, the unconstitutional rights that are happening, all of the AI bills that are being signed right now. I mean, I can go on and on. The banning of different countries from coming into America, that was my last straw. And I think a lot of people who voted for Donald Trump also say the same thing.
How does the Latino vote differ so much from the black vote? Because we got our own white people. Oh. And people don't understand that we have all, and the assimilation possibility for Latinx, Latin people is higher. People can come from other parts of Latin America, marry white as like they're told to do, assimilate and assume a white identity that black people cannot escape from. So they will continue to vote in that way because to them that's upward mobility. And unfortunately for us, success means being patted on the back. Not all of us, because y'all gonna go crazy on Twitter. I ain't got a Twitter, so it's okay. But they get the pat on the back from white people, and they feel like that's what being American is. Damn. And that colorism is real in our community. It is real.
U.S. propaganda is so good that it has indigenous Mexicans thinking that they're white. This is Nino Rodriguez, an indigenous Mexican who thinks he's white and denies being Mexican. Check it out.
But what is your ethnicity? Are you full-blooded American? Were you born in the United States?
I'm white. I'm not a Mexican. I don't claim to be a Mexican.
Hispanic, white, black.
White. I identify as white. I ain't a Mexican. I'm an American. I was born here.
He also thinks that being bilingual is a disadvantage and believes in speaking English only. Check this out.
Now, this is why I choose to speak English only, and why I encourage others to do so as well, as far as people that I come across that are, Mexican, brown, whatever you want to call it, that are not born in America, should I say.
You can tell the accent is so forced. I'm an American. I speak American. Look, Nino, you wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Mexico. I get it. You were born in the U.S. That's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But your DNA is Mexican, bro. In 1,000 years, when archaeologists uncover your bones and they analyze your DNA, they're going to be like, yeah, that's a Mexican. Also, bro, anybody born here is American. You're a proud U.S. citizen, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But just so you know, anybody born anywhere here is American. Here's the crazy part, bro. Somebody that looks like me, somebody that you want to look like, is 60% indigenous Mexican. I am 60% indigenous Mexican. If somebody that looks like me is 60% indigenous, what does that say about you? I've also had many people reach out to me saying that they live in the same area as he does, or they know him personally, and that his real name is Chris, that he's a failed rapper, and that his family is from Chihuahua, Mexico, to no one's surprise. But there you have it, guys. Just because you bring a Chihuahua to the US and it has puppies, it doesn't mean that those puppies are German Shepherds. But anyways, let me know what you guys think.
Now, Randy, what'd you just say?
I said you were right about Trump.
What was I right about Trump?
Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. How are you all doing today? I hope you all are doing well. This video reflects my personal opinion and comment, and this video is for educational purpose only. It's not meant to harass or harm any individual. So guys, I have this question to ask, that why is it that the Latinos, whenever the Black Americans try to talk to them, try to talk sense into them, they always tend not to listen? And what baffles me most is that they realize their mistakes after they've learned their lessons. We all know so many Latinos that have been living in the United States have not been allies with Black Americans. Despite how Black Americans have tried to draw them close, tell them the right things to do, they always seem not to agree with Black Americans because they portray themselves as being white. They always want to be recognized as white people. They don't want to be recognized as blacks. That is why they always act like that towards Black people. But yeah, with that being said, I have some few stitches and clips I'll roll out for us to watch now and be back with commentaries. So stay tuned. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And also don't forget, credit belongs to the original creator of every single stitches and clips we have in this episode. So stay tuned and watch out for my next video, guys.
I'm Puerto Rican. I've seen how anti-Blackness and colorism still show up in our homes, in our language, in our media, in our families. In many families, darker skin is treated like a disadvantage. When solidarity is needed, hesitation shows what's been internalized, and too many of us were raised to believe that aligning with Blackness meant losing something: safety, opportunity, acceptance. And we were taught the proximity to whiteness would protect us, that staying quiet was safer. So if we don't unlearn that, we end up repeating the same harm we say we stand against. So disengagement is not okay. What's happening to immigrant communities right now is devastating. I'm not taking away from that, and it does deserve compassion and support. But a good portion of that fear didn't come from distant forces, and it came from within our own communities. I've spoken out because I've watched people I know support systems that were never created for us to begin with. Systems that weren't designed to protect us, only to use us when it's convenient. So while I've raised my voice, I also know too many that have stayed silent, or worse, they chose power. We don't get to ask for empathy if we're unwilling to confront the harm our silence helped protect. And contrary to popular opinion, holding each other accountable isn't betrayal. It's how we begin to heal. So to the Black women and men that are saying we've poured into everybody and got nothing back, you're not wrong. You've carried movements, you've carried communities, you've carried generations without rest, without complaint, without question. And we cannot undo the silence that already has happened, but we can take responsibility for what happens next. I think people are not realizing we have way more similarities than differences, and we have more power together than we do apart. So look to your Black brother or
So recently they did a focus group where they invited several Latinos. All these Latinos voted for Trump, and they stated that they regret their votes for Trump because of the economy and mass deportations, which was Trump. Trump was really transparent on these particular issues. He'd been running on border security for over half a decade. He'd been running on tariffs and who could use which bathroom and who could play in whose sports. So there's no possible way you could really have voters remorse when Trump was completely transparent. I just find it interesting that this study comes out after Trump took funding from this grant for Hispanics and redirected those funds to HBCUs. This is very telling, and they go on and say that if it was a do-over, they still wouldn't vote for Kamala. They'll vote for a third party or stay home. How man don't say it? Hi haters. Remember that song? Yeah. It's telling.
Latinos have never needed Black Americans to force their racial biases on us. We have our own. We have been anti-Black, all by ourselves. Latinos have been colorists, all by themselves. Latinos have been racist, all by themselves, way before they come to America, way before they ever have contact with Black Americans. You know what the difference is? Normalized forms of racism, colorism, and anti-Blackness. What's normal amongst people in our culture, what's hush-hush, what's swept under the rug or not dealt with or just accepted, doesn't fly with Black Americans. And you just don't like the fact that a Black American will call you out on it. Because it's not normal. And it shouldn't be accepted. And it shouldn't be okay. So when you have people in your own community letting you know that they've been hurt or traumatized or discriminated by people in our own community, family members even, you need to listen. You need to listen instead of deflecting. Because this comment right here is a total and complete cop-out. It's straight up deflection. And it is a bold-faced lie. Our racial biases, they start back home. They start in our own countries, in our own islands. We just bring it here with us. You just don't like the boldness of how Black Americans deal with racism. Normalized anti-Blackness is not a value. Normalized colorism is not a value. Sweeping things under the rug and not talking about them, that's not a cultural value. It's not. Yet it's something that you seek to covet and put above Black Americans. You need to stop pitting Latinos against Black Americans and recognize that the root cause of all of the issues we have across all of our communities is white supremacy. Recognize how white supremacy has operated in your own life and how it has afforded you white privilege as a white presenting Latino and given you a life experience that more Black presenting Latinos cannot identify with. And stop propagating the lie and the myth that we don't care about race and there's no racism amongst us. Because if that were the case, we would not be having this discussion.
Ashley Gonzalez is a representation of the Latino community. If you don't agree with that, then start asking it. Because we're over here on comments talking about not me. Okay, then speak it. Right? When there's problematic anti-Black people around you, whether that's your family or friends or people around you, say something. You don't. You don't because it's uncomfortable. You don't because you don't want to burn bridges. You don't because you don't want to be disowned. You don't want to rock the boat. And maybe it's because you yourself understand that when someone who you know says something that's anti-Black, it's not really anti-Black because it's meant out of love. When you call a Latino who is much more darker skinned, prieto, prieta, darky, dark girl, dark boy, that in itself propagates anti-Blackness. I have a sister who was nicknamed Prieta. And they would tell her all the time, even strangers, hey, you're really pretty for a dark-skinned girl. And I'm pretty sure other dark-skinned individuals feel the same when people tell them you're really pretty for a Black girl, for a dark-skinned girl. It's not actually a compliment. When you remind me time and time again, hey, Gael, your hair doesn't really look Mexican. Your hair doesn't really look Latino. Are you sure you're not Black? And the thing is, it's not even said as a matter of fact. It seems like it's set as a dig. The worst type of anti-Blackness is the anti-Blackness that is really marketed as, oh, I'm just really being playful. Like the fact that I'm here in the United States and California means that I shouldn't have to choose between my Mexican culture and my American identity. Which means that I shouldn't have to choose between my Mexican community and even a Black community, right? If it's a Mexican person who is doing something wrong, like Ashley Gonzalez, I shouldn't have to side with Ashley Gonzalez because she's Latina. I had a comment on one of my videos where it said, Latinos should stick together. Yes, we should stick together because we're a community, but the thing is, there's so many Latino ICE agents that it means that we can't even stick together because we're always trying to punch down, right? We're always trying to make sure that no one else can succeed but us. And that's not just in anti-Blackness, that's also in prejudice against our own community. And here's the thing, sticking together as a community doesn't mean that we have to exclude other communities. It doesn't mean that it has to come at a sacrifice of Black solidarity. The Latino community succeeding in the United States does not have to equate to the Black community failing in the United States. We can both succeed equally. Like, once upon a time, there was a lot of, tribal shit, especially in California, especially where I was growing up, South Central Los Angeles. A bunch of tribal fights and shit right there, right? But at the end of the day, if we're all American, and that means that everyone is my tribe, right? Latinos are my community, but also, the Black community. The fact that I grew up listening to Art LeBeau, that's a bunch of oldies right there. That's Black influence right there. Why is it that we can consume Black culture, yet continue to sacrifice it whenever we vote? And here's the thing, even when we don't do it intentionally, the fact that we think that life is so simple that if Black people only didn't do bad things, then the cops wouldn't beat them up, that negates the fact that one shouldn't have their skin tone criminalized. And so many Latinos didn't recognize what this meant until I brought up the fact that imagine you giving in a resume with your last name, which is Spanish speaking, you're going to be judged on your last name, even if you're the lightest skinned person. Because when someone sees you and you have skin privilege, they don't know your name. They don't know that you have some Jose Garcia last name. But if they just see your resume, they will just see Jose Garcia. If they see you and you're black, they're going to judge you on that criminalization of their experience. The same thing when they see Jose Garcia. And now if I see the same thing is happening that Latinos once upon said, if you don't break the law, then they won't go after you. Well, if you don't break the law, then obviously IC won't stop you, yet they're still stopping you even though you're not breaking any laws, because the whole point isn't that you yourself did something wrong, it's that your skin, your name, your accent did something wrong. And that in itself doesn't have to be illegal, but that in itself is plausible deniability, right? Just being black is plausible deniability for a cop to unalive you. And so many Latinos will say, well, we struggle too. Yes, we do. My brother, before I was born, got police brutality by the LAPD 77 Division. We grew up in Florence, Vermont. If you're from South LA, you'll know what that means. But worst case scenario was the fact that they retaliated and just raided our house every other week as I was growing up. But he didn't get unalived. If he was black, maybe he would have. The fact that he was Mexican maybe saved him, because they were like, at least like, this boy's a troublemaker, but at least his skin tone tells us that he doesn't have a weapon maybe. But the fact that your skin tone in itself is a weapon worth unaliving you says a lot. It says that it doesn't matter whether you follow the laws or whether you do. It's the fact that your skin tone isn't valued. And that's what we're experiencing now, here in 2026. Our skin tone, our culture, our accent, our language isn't being valued. It's being criminalized, it's being targeted. And now we're truly understanding the fact that you don't have to do anything for the system to want to erase you. So rather than just apologizing, rather than just saying, hey, I'm the exception to the rule, just put in the work. Because obviously, in order for Ashley Gonzalez or whatever her name to exist, there had to be people in the community who didn't check her on it. Because in order for her to be navigating herself through society, truly acting as she does, then there had to be people who laughed with her, who agreed with her, who didn't tell her it was wrong. And maybe you didn't want to rock the boat, maybe you didn't want to burn bridges, but ultimately, silence is complicity, because as exhausting as it is for you to check them, it's even more exhausting to be a black person having to deal with the consequences of these Latinos not being checked by their own community. And as such, we reduce the trust that the black community has in our community, because we're over here allowing for anti-blackness to continue to be propagated. So rather than getting butthurt and trying to fight online about how it's not all of us, they know it's not all of us, but the thing is that how can they judge by anything else than what they experience when they engage with our community? If there is something that the Latino community needs more than anything, it is re-education and critical thinking. Because we truly do not get that. When we've been told by our families, if you just follow the laws, you do good, no one will bother you. That's not really how it is in the United States of America. The American dream is an illusion, is a delusion. The fact that if you just mind your own business, no one will bother you. We realize now that is a lie, because as long as you're not white, then there will always be a reason for why they want to remove your liberties. And the fact is that if we continue to propagate our chasing after whiteness, then what's going to happen is that we continue to vote against ourselves, because you think that you're voting to exclude people who you yourself don't see as equal. But in reality, that which you don't see as equal is your own mirror reflection, because the policies that you say will harm them truly harm all of us. And maybe for you, it's nothing to do with race. It just makes the most sense. But you don't realize that the way that you're positioning your politics is inherently anti-black. Now Latinos are experiencing what it means to truly walk down the streets and have your skin tone criminalized. Because ultimately, if they read your car license shit and they see a Spanish speaking last name, they're gonna stop you. Just like if they see you with black skin, they're gonna stop you. You don't gotta do nothing wrong, you just look wrong. And that's what we have to recognize. Because the policies that hurt one will hurt all of us. And that's why when we vote, we can't vote for what benefits ourselves as Latinos. We need to vote for the collective. Because when we vote for ourselves, it may be that you vote for the illusion of your closeness to whiteness, when in fact you have a much more closeness to everyone else who is getting fucked, not the ones who are doing the fucking.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to the channel. So as you can see from the stitches and clips I just shared right now, that there have been a lot of complaints lately from the Latinos, and these complaints is going straight to them regretting not listening to black people. Yeah, regretting not listening to black Americans. You know, black Americans have been everybody's ally, but most races don't like black Americans being their allies, and that has led to black Americans standing out for themselves only nowadays. They are no longer fighting for everybody the way they used to before. And we all see videos concerning this Latino woman who came out to say she regrets voting for Trump because of the way things are really going on in the United States currently. You know, the mass deportation, everything, the price inflation and all of that is really hitting them badly. So she's now coming out to say she regretted voting for Trump. But I could remember back then when the black communities come to you guys and tell you guys, give you guys reasons why you don't need to vote for Trump, why you need to vote for the right person on that seat. But you guys seem not to listen to them. You guys want to act your own way because you always prefer the whiteness. You guys want to be white. Yes, most of the Latinos, they want to be white. That is why you see so many Latinos, when they come to the United States, they find a white woman to marry so that their identity will change totally as a white. But here is what they fail to understand, that the whites, the real white people of America, that's the Native Americans, they don't give a fuck about you. Yes, they don't care about you all. It's obvious because you guys always find out how wrong you've been after you've learned some lessons from white allies. Yes. Like the Latinos that went ahead to vote for Trump, they are now facing it really deeply because the economy is really hitting on them badly. Yes, economy is hitting on them badly, and so many of them are very, 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 very enraged. Aside from that, the mass deportation of so many immigrants going back to their country, Latinos are part of it, and to their greatest surprise, the Latinos thought, let me put it as that, they thought that black Americans will get deported too. And to their greatest surprise, they found out that black Americans can't be deported because black Americans are the indigenous black Americans. They are the indigenous American people. Well, as you can see from the stitches and clips I just shared, that the Latinos, they like to be part of the whites. They want to be the whites. Yeah, they want to be like the whites. That is why they try to impress the whites by doing so many things like voting for Trump and trying to gaslight black Americans. You know how all those white Americans act? That's exactly the way the Latinos are acting towards Black Americans, which is very wrong. Of a truth, is very wrong. Like we can see from the video I just clipped, that the Mexican guy was saying he's not a Mexican. Yeah, he was trying to say he's a white American. Can you imagine that? A Mexican guy here, an indigenous Mexican, is changing his identity totally as a white man. He even goes to the length of restructuring his English and try to speak like the white Americans, but it doesn't suit him because that's not his indigen, that's not where he's from. So the more you keep showing and proving that you want to be like these people, and they don't even give a damn about you. That's the whole point. They don't give a damn about the Latinos. Anyways, welcome to the end of this video. I want you to drop your thoughts in the comment section, and don't forget to also like, share and subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification bell so that you get notified each time I upload a video. So I want to say thank you to my fans, my community, for all the love, share, everything you guys have been putting your hard work towards my channel. I want to say a very big thank you to you all. You guys are absolutely the best. So stay tuned and watch out for my next video, guys. Bye. Have a lovely day.